On this episode, we watched a movie based in ancient China where people can fly and leap tall buildings with a single bound. We watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and you're listening to Geeked Out.
Popcorn in our hands, ready for the show. From the classics to the blockbusters, we're always in the know. Throwing references like confetti, we keep it real. Geeked Out Podcast, we make you feel. We're the critics you can trust.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Geeked Out. My name is Kyle.
Juan here.
And today we are going into our third episode of our female-driven or female-led movie series, and we watched the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon from the year 2000. Juan, this was your pick. I have zero history with this movie, so why don't you give us a little bit of your background
Really?
when it comes to this film?
Yeah. I definitely this is either a Blockbuster rental or caught it on one of the movie network channels that you get if you paid for cable. Um Definitely would not have been a theatrical experience just because I'm not too sure if it came out dubbed or subbed, and if it was subtitled,
Would
my
would you have
father
sat
would.
through it at would you have sat through it at like 13, 14 if it was
I could have.
subtitled in the theaters?
I could have because I do like these movies. Personally, um, I watched a fair amount of them when I was younger. Um, the ones with usually starred either Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, or Jet Li, or Donnie Yen in the later years. But yeah, no, I could have. But the person would have took me to see it, my father would not have. No, he wasn't about that life. So it would have had to been a
Quick
rental.
little quick little thing when you brought up Donnie Yen. Did you know that they made a sequel to this movie starring Donnie Yen?
I do. I think
I think it was in
watched it once.
2016.
Yeah, it's about the sword, I believe, or something about
Yeah,
the.
it's called Sword of Destiny.
Yeah,
I think it's Michelle Yeoh and Donnie Yen.
he reprises her role. I, s- I believe I watched it once, but I don't really remember much of it, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I have zero history with this movie. I have never seen it. I do remember when it came out. This was probably late 90s, early 2000s.
It was that
Was probably
Renaissance. That
it
Renaissance.
was probably when I first really started getting into watching like the Academy Awards, which I'm still a big fan of. And I remember the buzz going around about this movie, and it was
Yeah.
a constant debate of it's like, is it going to be this or is it going to be Gladiator, or is it like that was a big debate going into that award season. Other than
Yeah.
that, and like the commercials and the ad campaigns going around about this movie, that's really all I remember because, like I said, I didn't watch this movie when it came out.
Hmm.
Growing up, as you and I have discussed, I didn't really watch many martial arts movies, and the ones that I did were like the ones that Jackie Chan made when he after he had come to America. So they were all in English. There was no language barrier. There was nothing like that.
Hmm.
I mean, I got to be honest with you. It was a slog for me to get through this movie.
Really?
In terms of like, I tried, so I watched it in the Mandarin with the subtitles. I tried to find it dubbed and it just
Oh, really? I found. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just watched the dub.
it's I found a dubbed version and it just I don't know if it was the version I was watching or what it was, but the the vocals just didn't line up. Like there would be parts where you could see nobody's lips are moving and somebody's talking, and I'm like, I don't know who that's supposed to be.
Yeah,
So I don't know
that
if
had
it
to have been a
was.
sync. That was a bad sync for sure.
That's the problem.
That was a
So
bad sync.
I watched it in Mandarin with the subtitles, and that might kind of impact my
Oh
negative rating on
no.
this movie.
You should.
And also,
I could see
to
it.
be honest, I found there was no real um substance to the story even. Now, don't get me wrong,
Really?
I loved the sets, the scenery. It all looked so authentic. I loved the fight choreography. I hated all of this flying nonsense.
Really? Not a
I, I,
fan?
I, no, because it's the way, like, if the movie was set up where they have these mystical powers and where they can do these things, I bite. But it was set up more that it was just taking place in China and these were just highly trained fighters. Like it, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they can just fly and
Yeah, it's paying homage to the movies of like the 60s or at least the 70s and 80s. Um, that incorporate a lot of the wire work. But I get it.
I get that. I
It's
think they just might have relied a little too heavily on it for my taste.
okay.
But like the hand to hand martial arts and even like the sword fighting and whatnot when their feet were on the ground was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And again, it was hard for me to judge the acting because a lot of acting is how lines are delivered, and I couldn't really get
Yeah, if it was
inflection or anything. It
if it
was
wasn't synced, then even dub
well,
because the version that I watched was the dubbed. It was dubbed over. And yeah, you lose a little bit of nuance because it's not the actual actors speaking. It's English actors dubbing it. But still, there was no, I didn't get the mishap that you had with, it being unsynced, but you were
yeah.
still
So
able
I
to
just watched the
capture
man.
some,
I just
yeah, you're still able to capture
yeah
some of the emotion. Um, but mostly because a lot of for me, I was able to capture the emotion based off of the, just like the way they were showing it through their body language.
yeah. I I don't know. I just and again, like even for me, so like a movie like this, if I had a strong connection to a certain actor or actress, I really have no like I've seen Michelle Yeoh in several things. Um,
Yeah, she was a
the
boss.
girl who played the girl who played Jen, I'm gonna butcher these names. Z Zhang or Ji Zhang.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it.
oh, yeah, yeah,
I've literally seen her in this and Rush Hour 2, and
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. She
And
was.
even Chow Yun Fat, I've seen none of his movies.
Mm,
Like it's this and Pirates of the Caribbean 3 is
oh
pretty much my
wow.
exposure to Chow Yun Fat. I've never been a big martial arts movie guy.
Mm, that would explain it. Okay, yeah,
I
that
don't
would
know.
explain it.
I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's just because I enjoy watching like the fighting aspect. It's just I haven't really found one where I could really connect well to the storyline to actually give a shit about it.
Yeah, I mean, most martial art movies, the story kind of takes a back seat, and the main focus is, setting up the choreography. I get
Yeah,
that, and I think this one it blends both pretty well, in my opinion. I mean, when I see this movie, I mean, the theme that I get out of it is a lot of with the two female leads, it's like freedom versus, duty, tradition versus desire, discipline versus passion, and that spreads across her and Chow Yun Fat's character.
yeah.
These,
I
these
was
two
able to
characters,
get
I got
I
these two.
was able to get that out of it. It's
Mhm.
just
Yeah, like I understand, like these two characters are people who truly do love each other, care for each other, but because of, you know, duty, honor, in their opinion, or, their culture, they couldn't express that. And they were suppressing that love until they had no choice but to express it, and it was too late. Like I kind of, I under, that's what I got when I
yeah.
um, watched
That's
the movie.
absolutely the cornerstone of the movie. It's just I think when I first read the description and then when I actually watched the movie, I was like, for the first probably hour of the movie, I was like, this whole movie's about stealing a goddamn sword.
Surface,
And
on the surface, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I just, again, I think there was just something about it that I couldn't connect to. Now, granted, like I said, the fight stuff was really cool, and I could watch like this, like those scenery shots, and even like the set design. It really felt like authentic ancient China. Like it looked really cool.
Yeah, it's very you could tell like this basically this movie is a movie from the 70s just with a bigger budget and a better director. But if you
I
haven't
mean,
seen any of those movies or anything, so you're not going to understand that.
that's the thing, because
Yeah.
even some of the wire work, where obviously they've removed the wires with CG and whatnot. Even some of that looked like it was straight out of the 70s.
Yes, absolutely.
Like some of the parts when they're in
Definitely
the
deliberate.
trees and it literally looks like it looks like Chow Yun Fat is literally just hanging in midair. He's supposed to be like grabbing onto a branch, but I'm like, dude's not holding anything. Like it looked out of place, certain parts.
Oh, yeah, I get it. And I've seen enough of them too, so I'm able to immerse myself a little bit more than you are.
Yeah.
So it's definitely understandable. And yeah,
Now
I
the di-
mean the sword itself, it's Chow Yun Fat's character. It's like the embodiment of his legacy within a sword, and it has a reputation, and it is a powerful sword, but not like physically, but more in its reputation. And
yeah,
that's
because physically this thing is bouncing and bending, and
mhm.
I was like, that can't be super effective.
I mean, it said it's made out of a special material. I don't know what it is. They don't specify, but it has a definitely a mystical feel to it, but not a deliberate mystical, more of just more myth than mystical.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it definitely looked flimsy at sometimes when it was flapping around there for sure. But it looked beautiful.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful sword. I
I
would love
mean,
to have
it
it.
looks really cool when they do the zoom ins on it. But yeah, every time that it was pulled out and the camera focused on like the tip of the sword, and it's just like flopping back and forth like one of those old thin plastic rulers we used to have in grade school. I was like, I don't know how much
Right,
damage this
yeah.
thing's really gonna do.
I'm not sure. I'm not a sword expert, but
No, neither am I.
in this world you can fly, so maybe, metal doesn't abide by the natural
Well,
laws of physics here.
neither do humans apparently.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely not. I would love to. Boy, if I could just, and they do it quite a few times in this movie here. They'll say something and to leave the conversation, they'll just fly off.
Yeah,
I just wish I could do that. I just wish I could do
like
that all the time. Because that's
some of it
awesome.
I kind of I was like, okay, I'll bite on that, because like some of it they're using like a parkour where they're jumping like side to side on the walls to a roof. But then the moments where they're just standing still and all of a sudden they're just like lifted in the air miraculously and they
Yeah,
land on the
spin.
rooftop, I was like, huh.
Yeah, it's a stylistic choice. It's not supposed to be anywhere close to realistic. Uh, and yeah, it's paying homage to this classic the films of old.
See, and that's the thing, because I don't have that to identify or to connect
It's
with.
kind of
I think
jarring.
that's where,
Yeah, 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 see.
well, yeah, because I'm like, I feel like this is supposed to be more based in reality. And then all of a sudden they're flying, and I was like, well, that's not reality. But there
No,
was, but then I was like, did I miss something where they talked about they have this mystical power where they're able to do this, or,
no,
but
it's just it's very theatrical, much like the acting in this. It's very not even theatrical, more theatrical as in like a stage theatrical live performance type
yeah, that makes
type of
sense.
thing. And yeah, and it definitely shows with the acting because it's not realist. It is realistic in the themes and what they're talking about, but the way they're delivering the lines isn't something how a person would react because, or at least would express themselves. It's very much performative, and sometimes that works in certain movies. You can go with it, and sometimes you're not going to be immersed so much, and you're not going to be you're not going to enjoy it as much as somebody who
Mhm.
can be immersed in it. So like, yeah, I get it. I understand.
Well, before we talk any more about the movie, I'm going to get into the details of it. So, as you all know, the title of the movie is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It was originally released on December 22nd of 2000 with an original budget of 17 million and a worldwide box office that made just shy of $214 million. IMDb has it currently at a 7.9 out of 10. The Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at a 96%, and the fans on Rotten Tomatoes have it at an 86%. It was directed by Ang Lee, and here's where I'm going to start butchering names, and I apologize. It was written by Huiling Wang, James Shamus, Kuo Yun Tsai, based on a book by Dulu Wang. It stars Chow Yun Fat, Michelle Yeoh, Ji Zhang, and Chang Chen.
It makes sense that this is based off a book because I
I
looking at
read
this,
something.
sorry, looking at this,
No, go ahead.
I would have said that the way this story is being presented is as if it's a story being told, like a bedtime story or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, that totally makes sense. I didn't realize that this was based off a book, but yeah, I, that validates my thought there for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Cool.
Yeah, on the trivia I read, the term crouching tiger, hidden dragon is actually a quote from Chinese mythology referring to hiding your strength from others,
Yeah, there's a lot of
which makes
hiding.
sense in the
Yeah,
way that it's used.
yeah, especially with one's character in particular, and just hiding overall, just hiding your true feelings, and it's definitely a central theme of this movie.
I mean, straight up hiding who you are.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
the synopsis of the movie is this is where it kind of lost me. A young Chinese warrior steals a sword from a famed swordsman. That doesn't happen. She steals it from the person he gives it to, and then escapes into a world of romantic adventure with a mysterious man in the frontier of the nation. That plot, that synopsis is completely wrong in my opinion.
It happens like
I'm just
later in the
I'm just
movie.
going off of
It's very
I'm
vague.
just going off of what IMDb says.
It's
And the thing that I'm going to
in
pick
there,
apart with
but
this is, like I said, she steals the sword from the person that Lee gives it to. The romantic adventure stuff happens in a flashback before she's ever even seen the sword.
yes, and yeah, dead smack in the middle of the movie, which
But yeah,
is I would say my complaint is in this movie, or my critique is movies where they placed that flashback there. Um, kind of it definitely slows down the pace, and that's definitely for most people is gonna lose a lot of people there.
well, I assumed the flashback was going to be like 5 minutes. It's like almost a half an hour, probably.
Yeah, in a solid amount of time.
It's a third of the movie.
Yeah, yeah, and it's very jarring because you go from you know basically the action being ramped up, or at least the plot being ramped up into something that's going to be great, but then it cuts to a flashback, and it kind of like gives you whiplash there because now you were fully immersed into this. Now you gotta reassess yourself and figure out what's going on uh, with this flashback. You don't realize it's
Yeah.
a flashback. You're figuring stuff out, and having that in the middle of your film kind of hurts it, in my opinion. I wish they would have spread out the flashback throughout the movie so we could learn about this woman in her motivation as to why she wants the sword. Uh, that way without pulling us away from the main plot of the movie so much to where you almost forget about it when
Yeah,
you're
because the way it's set up. So first of all, I didn't realize this movie was entirely done in Mandarin. And the reason that I didn't realize that is because I remembered how big of an ad campaign they put forth. I remembered it was considered for an Oscar. It was nominated for 10 Oscars. It won four. It was nominated for
yeah.
Best Picture.
It must
And
have
then all of a
debuted
sudden,
in dubbed. It must have debuted in dubbed.
I don't know. I really don't know because when it when the movie started, my first note was, please tell me this whole movie isn't subtitled like this.
Yeah, and
Which
then
is, I
being off
mean,
sync
I
would be
normally I
frustrating.
normally watch movies with subtitles. I watch almost everything with
There's lots
subtitles.
of great movies out there if people were willing to read subtitles.
Well, but I watch English stuff in subtitles just because I've done that now for years.
Yeah,
But the
you catch
difference
a
with
lot
that
more
is
going on.
at least they're still speaking English, so I can hear so like when I was writing my notes for this, I had to pause every time I looked down to write a note because at least when we're watching a movie where they speak English, if I look away to write a note down, I can still hear what they're saying. Well,
Good
when they're
point.
speaking a language that I don't
You
speak,
have to
I was
listen
like,
to them.
fuck, I need to pause this every time to write a note. Because if I don't read the subtitles, I'm going to be lost.
Hmm. Yeah,
So I think that also contributed to, like I said, it was a bit of a slog to get through.
I can see that. I can see that.
I mean, and again, on the opposite side of that, the fact that they're using authentic language gave the movie a real authentic feel to it, as opposed to, like, for example, the movie that won Best Picture that year, Gladiator. It's based in Rome, and they all speak with English accents.
Yeah, but that's just
Oh,
filmmaking.
I know.
It's if a movie is set historically, especially around that time, people it's the British is the default language. And I'm kind of glad, even though he's getting a lot of slack, that Christopher Nolan in The Odyssey didn't abide by that pressure of doing that, and people just have their just regular accents or just
Okay,
American.
I was just gonna say, what do you mean? Is he filming the Odyssey in like ancient Greek? Because that might be hard too.
No, people just talk regular, and the dialogue is very Americanized. So I appreciate that because,
Okay,
but
I mean,
like, I get it. I mean, nothing about this is historically accurate. The Odyssey, and he's getting a lot of slack for that, especially with certain castings. But I do appreciate the fact that he didn't have to go back to the old British. Everybody has a British accent for a Greek story.
like Troy.
Exactly. Yeah, Troy. Yeah, that's another one.
Although I'm a big fan of Troy. As bad as much as that movie gets harped on, I love watching that movie.
Of course, I like it.
But
It's
yeah, so
one of
this
Brad Pitt.
movie,
Sorry, go ahead.
I love Brad Pitt in that movie.
It's one of his best. That asshole.
But so in this movie, it opens and you see there's so much focus on this sword, and it's Chow Yun Fat's character is gifting it to. See, I couldn't even figure out. So who he's gifting it to, is that Jen's father? Is that her fiance's father? I couldn't figure out what family was what and what compound was whose compound, and all of that. I was super confused with the
Yeah, I'm
way that
not
it was
sure
laid
of
out.
the man. I'm from what I were to gather, I don't think he's related to him at all. I think he's just another skilled swordsman that,
Well, he's an old man.
well, yeah, they established that. They established that he's old but they said that he's worthy of it. So he's giving it to him that's
And
worthy.
it's almost like he's
I
giving
don't
it
know
to him because he's
specifically
like
why.
retiring.
Yeah, he's kind of at a time in his life where is kind of, he feels like he's almost enlightened in a certain level to where he doesn't need certain attachments. And he's kind of he's doing that by suppressing his emotion. And, he's trying to master his control, very spiritual journey that he feels like he's evolved. And that's why he's kind of giving away his sword.
Okay, and
Because it
then
represents his old life.
his master who was killed, and he's been trying to find the killer, who I don't think they even mentioned that till later in the movie, so it was a weird plot point that was what he was kind of being driven by.
No, they didn't specify the name, but they said how he died and the fact that he did die. They mentioned a couple before they mentioned who.
Okay. Now we see I really enjoyed the whole ninja stuff when Jen
Hell
is
yeah.
dressed. Obviously, like
Best stuff
from the
happened
first
in that movie.
second, from the moment you see her, even just her eyes in that whole outfit, I was like, are they really trying to hide who this is? Like,
No,
if
because
they
the
would have
audience
put her,
can
if they would have
recognize
put
it.
her name, if they would have put her name in fluorescent lights across her forehead, it couldn't have been more obvious as to who it was.
Yeah, she has a very distinguishable face, at least a pair of eyes. And even as the audience, we know. If the audience knows by looking at her, come on. There's no hiding her identity at all. But it's a part of these movies is there's going to be a
The,
nighttime scene where somebody dresses up like that to steal something. It's a large, many stories involved. Something like this plot point being.
and I enjoyed that. Like she looked really she really looked the part, looked really cool. But yeah, I was confused as to whether you were supposed to kind of question who that was.
Kind of. You'd get some people. You're supposed to, but we all know who she is. Just, because we've seen her face. I've seen her face quite a few times, but just off of two movies, which is crazy. But yeah, I guess
Okay.
at the time you would have seen this for the first time in the early 2000s or 2000, you probably wouldn't have got it right away. So,
Okay. And then we get into this whole plot point of the Jade Fox, which I kept in my notes. I kept starting to write the Night Fox, like from Ocean's 12.
oh, jeez. I kept saying
But
Jade Palace. There's a restaurant
you did.
where So yeah, kind of I feel you. I feel you on that one.
Yeah, it was a little interesting. But then all of a sudden, as Jen, as the ninja, she's stealing it. She gets caught. They had this whole big fight. And then you see a random guy helping her by help of a blowgun. And this is when she gets back, you meet Lo, I think is that his name?
Yeah, I mean he goes by Dark Cloud or something like that, but yeah, essentially.
That was okay. The whole Dark Cloud thing, I thought that when they said that, I thought they were referring to like the whole group. Like they called themselves the Dark Cloud as a group. I didn't, and then when he's like, yeah, they call me that, I was like, that's a weird name for one person.
Oh, the Dark Cloud bitch. Yeah, that would be a dope
But
crew name for sure.
it,
That's,
it's a weird scene when he first kind of goes in to get her. It almost looks like he's about to assault her in a very bad way.
I mean,
And then
you do see him. There's like a flash of him earlier in the movie, but you're like, who the hell or what's going on there?
yeah, you just kind of see his face.
You're like, what's happening there? And then yeah. But again, I think it would have paid off better pacing wise and emotionally wise and would have connected the audience to the character better if the flashbacks were sprinkled in throughout the movie instead
Yeah, because
of.
you just get this whole thing of her family was traveling through the desert and he raided their
I
caravan,
like that.
and
Even though
that part was cool
it looks
because
beautiful too, 'cause it's on location and just
it was
the
like
way it's
reality.
shot, it looked great. It looked really good.
That's the other
Very
thing with this
cinematic.
is I really like the fact that a lot of the actors performed their own stunts, and apart from the removing the wires, there wasn't a ton of CGI used. I mean, to the point, like the actors did their own stunts to the point Michelle Yeoh, while filming a fight scene, tore her ACL,
Oh yeah,
and, and
Michelle
she had to
Yeoh, ooh,
like
she's
go for surgery and then film non-combat scenes while she was recovering.
she's done films with Jackie Chan. She's she's definitely not one to shy away from a stunt. I think she almost died from a stunt, and Jackie Chan saved her. And
Well,
then
Jackie Chan has almost died from multiple stunts.
yeah, and I think that's the shot that they kept in the movie that they're in. I'm pretty sure. I don't know the movie off the top of my head, but yeah. So yeah, she's not one to shy away from a good stunt. And
Well,
I've been a yeah. Go ahead.
I know that he almost died doing a stunt for a Bronx Tale,
Oh,
or not a
jumping off the
Bronx
roof,
Tale. Yeah,
Rumble in the Bronx. I actually watched that
Rumble in
not
the
too long
Bronx.
ago.
Bronx Tale's the mafia one.
Do you know that was shot in Canada? That was
Oh,
mostly shot in
that
Canada.
doesn't really surprise me.
I didn't know that. I thought it was filmed in like Australia or something. Not Canada. That's crazy. But yeah, no, there's quite a few scenes where he it looked like if things would have went wrong, he would have died. So that does not surprise
Well, I mean, shit. Thank God they're using prop swords for some of these fights, because I was like, my God, they're like within an inch of somebody's face. And unless they sped the film up, they're going full bore. Like,
talking about this movie.
yeah,
Oh, with the weapons and stuff.
yeah, those were kind of crazy, some of them. But
Oh, the Corporate Heights was great, and it
I would say the whole thing with this flashback is his raiders attack them, and she chases after him to get a comb.
yeah, it's definitely means. She even mentions it. It means a lot to her. We don't know what it means to her because there's no
We never know.
reference to that. But you know, the only thing we need to know is that it really means a lot to her, and she's willing to follow the leader of a gang and beat the hell out of this guy
I
for this
think
little comb.
before they actually conduct the raid, it shows her and her mom in the carriage, and her mom like gives it to her. So I think that might be a sentimental. Plus, I believe it's made, just the color of it, I think it's made out of jade, so it would have a monetary value as well.
Yeah, I was writing my notes so I must have missed something in that dialogue. But I'm going to assume that yeah, it's she gave it to her and it's been in her family for, God knows how long. So
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of sentimental value there. It's just we're not as connected to we don't understand the connection as much. So it's it for the person watching, we truly don't have an emotional connection to.
Yeah, and I mean, she ends up staying. They don't really give you a timetable, because it's not like it pops up on screen 6 months later, or 10 days later, or whatever it is. But
No,
you
I
get
was
the
kind of
sense that
looking for it.
she stays there with him for a little while,
I'm gonna assume
to the
maybe a
point.
few days, maybe a week tops, because the army's still looking for her. I don't think they'll be looking
Yeah,
for
they
her for
haven't given
months.
up.
So I'm assuming it's a few days, maybe a week.
Yeah, because they go from the point where she's obviously very um antagonistic with him, in terms of she acts like she's more or less almost been kidnapped, and she's like, I'm going to take that from you, this, that, and the other thing. And then all of a sudden they end up having like this, like they start fighting each other. I think so what is it? She stabs him, bites him, and then it's like he immediately goes, oh, she likes me. And they start to have sex.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was feeling the moment. He was he was taking temperature, and she wasn't fighting him off her in that way, so he went for it. Yeah, that was kind of surprising. You do realize because just before the flashback, you see them kiss. So you understand they have to get there somewhere, at some
Hmm.
point. And yeah, that's the moment. It just happens in an instant, really fast. And you're just like, okay, I gotta get on board with this. Uh, and yeah, she never, she thought to herself as a prisoner, but he never made her feel like one. And he was actually
No,
helping her, which is crazy because he's like the leader of
he brings
a,
he's bringing her food
an
and
all male gang. Usually they're a lot more ruthless. But I think again, he kind of represents, if this is a story, I think symbolically he kind of just represents total freedom and
yeah.
her being tempted by it and pushing it away and then finally accepting it. And, I get that they decided to include that in the story, and it shows her uh obsession for freedom, but I wish they would have just showed it in a different way instead of almost stopping the movie putting it in a total halt to, tell her story.
Yeah, because even like you say, he's trying to seem welcoming to her. I mean, he brings her food, he offers his bath, which is just a hole
It
in the
looked
wall
nice.
in the ground, but
I mean,
but he offers all that to her, and then you fast forward maybe just a couple days, and they're in this bath together talking about they want one another forever, this, that, and the other thing. And then when we come out of the flashback, she basically tells him, I want you to leave, never come back, and never see me again. So,
yeah,
and
and
he's like, what the fuck? Like,
and that was the
I
scene
came
where
here.
it really made me like understand that this is almost a theater performative type vibe because that's what you would see in one of those like a play.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what they were going for sure with that with that acting style for sure. And it just and yeah, she totally just pushed them away because she's torn. She's a character torn between duty and what she really
And
wants.
what she wants. Yeah.
And that's a lot of the characters, I guess the majority of the characters in this movie, they all have that same struggle. And we're just seeing it in this the story with Lo here.
You know who doesn't have that struggle is the Jade Fox, who I kind of want to talk about for a minute.
I like her, man. She's just an evil ass character for evil ass character's sake. There's no complexity with her, not much, but she's just a character that wants to fuck shit up. I like it
So what was funny?
because she's a character that's oppressed, and you understand that. She says it in her when she's talking, speaking with Jen.
Well, what was funny about her character is they show the wanted poster,
Oh, and it looks just like her.
and
It
well,
looks just like that.
it's her with her hair all like her hair down and whatnot, and even the first time you see her, she has her hair down,
I'm
and
like, wait a
then
minute. Nobody knows
you
that's
come to
her.
find out that she's actually Jen's governess,
Yeah.
which was funny because I wrote in my note, nobody can tell that it's her just because her hair is up. And then I paused and I kind of went, wait, I didn't realize it was her. So I guess the hair up trick works.
Not
Maybe
for me.
Superman's glasses really do work.
Maybe because I already seen the movie, I already know that's the character. But I looked carefully at that poster. That's her.
Nobody else does. Michelle Yeoh gets the poster and she literally crumples it up and throws it away.
Oh yeah, poor guy who hand painted that wanted book.
But when she did that, I was like, is she doing that because she already knows who it is, or she doesn't think it's a real threat? Spoiler alert, it's a real threat.
Is real. I think she knows. Yeah, they know because she's
Okay.
training. She's being trained by her. That's her. Yeah.
But in secret.
Yes.
because then Chow Yun Fat, then he approaches Jen to say that he wants to train her because she's studied they call it Wudang. I don't know if that's the type of martial arts or if that's the name of his master, but
Probably the name of this
he
master. There's a
he
lot of different
basically
styles.
says to her, like, you exhibit skills that people who weren't trained the way I was are not able to do. And we later come to find out that Jade Fox trained her, but Jade Fox is illiterate. She can't read. So all she could do is interpret the pictures, whereas Jen can read the actual instructions of how to do it and held back certain details so that she would advance ahead of her teacher, which is kind of a dick move, but I mean, she did it anyway.
Yeah, it's the character. Part of the character. She definitely has ambition. So it's
And
definitely
I mean,
not
some of the
out of
scenes
character.
later in the movie,
And you could tell
sorry, go
she
ahead.
kind of, it's definitely it's not out of character for her. And you tell she had some kind of form of regret when speaking to her, when she finally figures it out or finally sees that she has been holding back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely something uh, Jen would do.
Now, there are multiple things in this movie that I kind of felt were just almost like placeholder scenes to set up more fights or more action scenes. And I think one of those is when Jen just leaves and she ends up at what I wrote down as, oh, we get a traditional bar fight.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it kind of just happens. Yeah, yeah.
And it's all these guys come in and they're like, I don't know if it's because I can't remember if it's because they see the sword or she did something. I think I was trying to write notes and read at the same time, so I think I might have missed something.
They recognized
But
that she had a sword. It definitely was something made uh something with great detail. So they sniffed her of being somebody of skill. So they started pressing to see. It's a common thing you see in a lot of martial art movies where the
the bar
hero
fight,
not a bar either a bar not necessarily a bar fight but a fight that ends up testing uh either being a test of a master and another master. Usually the other master, the one that's looking for the challenge, is very less skillful but very aggressive and proving himself. You see that
because
a
she
lot.
fucks these dudes up.
Absolutely. With ease. Just like a master would in these kind of movies. It's usually a man, traditionally. It would be that role would be played by some type of like a Jackie Chan character or a Jet Li or Donnie Yen.
Mhm.
But no, it's a woman this time, and I appreciate that. Even though, yeah, I get realistically that many dudes are they would just dogpile on her, and the
I
fight's
mean, it was like
over.
45 on one.
But again, this is a story based off a book, so we're gonna go a little bit fantastical, and in this world, if you are a skilled martial artist, you are equal to a man, regardless
And
of size.
you get another Jedi Force jump where she spins and jumps from the main floor to the second story balcony.
Yeah, I like it, man. I think it's beautiful. And this movie
It looks cool,
definitely,
but I was just like, oh boy.
yeah, and a lot of martial arts movies after this incorporated a lot more wire work based off of this movie, just the reception of this movie. And
Okay, let me ask you this.
yeah, go ahead.
The fight choreographer for this movie,
This is The
he
Matrix.
also he choreographed the Matrix. Why couldn't he use the same style? Like, maybe not the same style, but the Matrix is done in a way, the martial arts are, they're both realistic and fantastical, but not in a way, like, aside from Trinity pausing in midair for the camera to rotate, there's not really many actual martial arts moves or things, and I'm not talking about the bullet dodging,
No, there's
that would
wire work. There's definitely wire work. It's
there is, but
subtle.
nothing that
It's
would
subtle.
compare to
It's
this.
definitely subtle. And I think the reason why they put it in this movie because it's the stylistic choice, and that's just how storytelling goes with these kind of movies
Okay.
of that era. I think
There's
it's just a stylistic choice based on paying homage to the style of martial art movies in the 70s.
okay, there's something I'm gonna say. I know you like this movie. Don't get mad at me for saying this. But there were
You're
a
in the
couple
minority,
times.
so go ahead. You're in
Hold on, hold
the
on.
minority.
There were a couple times when somebody takes off in terms of like their quote unquote flight mode,
Hell
and they
yeah.
do it without, any form of like jumping.
They
It's
just
like they just
jet off.
raise off the ground. But you know what it reminded me of? Because sometimes they do it at a bit of a slower speed.
Okay.
It
Reminds you.
reminded me, it reminded me of the ELF squad in the Santa Claus
Okay. Yeah, I can see
when
that.
they just put like the one foot up and they slowly like raise themselves up. I was like, this looks like the exact same way that it was done.
Or any character that flies that lands and the landing is a practical landing, like Homelander when he lands in like the boys.
They can control the speed of their descent.
Yeah, it will always kind of look like that. I could see that for sure. For sure. But
Well,
I don't see the ridiculousness. I'm desensitized from that.
you also don't see it as a negative like I do
No, not so much.
because you're used to this type of movie.
I do. And I'm a fan of these types.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory.
I mean, I will say the next fight scene after this is we get, and I think it's the best one in the movie, is the Jen and
The weapons.
Michelle Yeoh fight. That fight is badass.
Take your weapon, the weapon room, or whatever room they're in. That was great. And it was very like, Michelle Yeoh, she definitely let loose a little bit. She let a little bit of more emotion. Most of her fight or all of her fights previously, she had kept her emotions in check. She fought with a lot of discipline and restraint and a lot of technique. But there's a point in this fight where she just grabbed a big ass heavy stick and just started wailing that bitch around, and she almost
I
let her
like when
emotions
she.
get the best of her there.
I did laugh though when she grabbed the big one with the weight and she couldn't lift it, so she just like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
fuck it, and throws it to the side and go to get another weapon.
yeah, that was funny.
But yeah,
They
you
just look
get.
at
I
each other
mean,
like, bitch, what the? She's like, okay, yeah, I know.
so, and that fight leads into her and Chow Yun Fat with the bamboo trees, which, considering how much those were all over every trailer, I found it to be a super letdown compared to how much it was hyped in the trailer. The big fight for me was the Jen and Michelle Yeoh fight.
Yeah, and the fight between Jen and Chow Yun-fat's character, or at least in the forest, it wasn't meant to be like the spectacle fight
It's
wise.
more him continuously trying
Totally,
to be like,
totally
let me train
symbolic.
you.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was like there was some philosophical symbolism there a little bit, especially with the being on the bamboo and yeah,
Oh, but
there's a lot of deeper meanings there that if you can dissect it and find some layers. Absolutely.
but here we go again. The note that I took for that is after they leave like the forested area and there's just that pool of water, I put, of course they can fucking run and jump on water.
Yeah, because it looks cool.
It does. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does look cool, but again, I was still trying
No,
to
no
focus
human
on
can. Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, it's definitely realism is the furthest thing they're aiming for when they're certainly in that scene.
And I
And
was a little I kind of felt a little let down with the climax of this movie when they finally have the confrontation between like the four, like the Jade Fox, Jen, Chow Yun Fat, and Michelle Yeoh. I was kind of like, there's not more to it than this, because when she finally retrieves the sword, she goes back, or she's saved by Jade Fox. And then all of a sudden she disappears to go, I don't know, get supplies or something. And Chow Yun Fat comes in to kind of help her and realizes that Jen's been poisoned. And then we get this just barrage. This was kind of cool. The barrage of like the needles, and he's deflecting them with his sword, as is Michelle Yeoh.
Mhm.
The 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 death, the way that he kills Jade Fox looked really bad in terms of like special effects, like, because he uses his sword basically to break her sword into pieces, and then somehow those pieces shoot backwards into her, which kind of again defy physics a little bit. And I don't think it really looked all that good, but that's not the point of the scene. The point of the scene is, as she's dying, she's blaming Jen for betraying her and not allowing her to ascend to the point that Jen had in terms of the discipline. And she even says, I wasn't aiming for you, I was aiming for her with the blow darts. Unfortunately, this is when you see Chow Yun Fat has one of the needles in his neck, and it's poison. And it's like, well, he's now on a clock, because they say there's no
yeah, you
antidote,
later find
except,
out. Yeah.
of course, Jen is like, she told me the antidote. It's just, the ingredients are hard to find, but I could totally make you one.
Yes. And most movies, or at least a lot of movies, it would have been easy way out for her to come back. And
I
even,
did not expect this ending. I will say that.
yeah, I, it was because he doesn't make it. Like, he does die. And before he passes, they finally express their feelings toward each other, the feelings they knew they had for each.
But
And
hadn't
you
let it.
believe it. You believe that this is, you believe the performance. And yeah, it definitely, that emotional payoff, or that throughout the entire movie, it hits, because they were building towards that throughout the entire movie. And that old man at the beginning, he told them, he's like, he tried to get us to her thick skull. So he was saying, like, stop wasting your time and tell this man how you feel.
Yeah.
And it was too late. And yeah, it definitely hurts. You definitely feel that by the way they
There
set it
is,
up in the
yeah, there is a
movie.
lot of emotion surrounding that scene. Even like they kiss and he kind of dies in her arms. And
The
for
first
some reason,
and last kiss. You definitely feel that.
yeah. And when Jen comes back with the supplies, I was expecting it to be like, oh, he's only like been gone a real short time, so I can whip this up and but that's not what happens.
Yeah. No, they just
He
immediately
did.
did. Exactly. Every or most movies, they would have, done the easier way out, and they would have had the death, but then she would have came back, and they would have gave it to him, and he would have,
See, this is where they could add in the Chris Tucker Rush Hour. Wipe yourself off, man. You did.
for sure. Which is why she hates him in Rush Hour 2. Uh, but no,
So
yeah,
yeah, he dies, and then Michelle Yeoh basically says to Jen, like, go be free, go to the mountain,
she's like, whatever choice you make sure
Wudang Mountain.
just make sure it's what you want to do, because she is literally a lesson that the last thing you want to do is suppress what you want in life, because you will regret it
Yeah.
deeply, deeply, forever.
Yeah, she says to her, go to the mountain, Lo is there waiting for you. And so you think, like, yeah, this is going to be quote unquote, they're going to live happily ever after. But then she flies.
See, she
Dude, but the last
jumps
the
off
last
of the.
note I wrote,
I didn't
she
remember this.
doesn't
I did not remember the last.
shut up,
I don't remember.
shut up. She doesn't jump. She takes off like one of those fucking elves, and I put she literally flies away. What the actual fuck?
Yeah, I did not remember the last.
She flies away like a flying squirrel, arms and legs spread out wide.
I think it's one of those intentionally ambiguous as endings. There's some deep philosophical meaning with that ending that I would have to watch it a couple times and really pay attention to figure out exactly. But I don't know, man. You could say it represents some kind of transcendence or surrender to
Okay,
something or
I will say this.
free liberation, something along those lines.
I will say this. At least this movie has a basis and a history through the movie of people kind of flying. So I can get behind her flying at the end of this movie much more than I can get behind Neo flying at the camera at the end of the first Matrix movie.
Well, wait a minute. You didn't understand why he started to fly?
I think it's stupid that he started to fly randomly.
He
Whereas what I'm saying is
understood the
this movie
Matrix.
at least had a history of it. Do you get what I'm saying? It's set up.
Yeah, true. I mean, again, it's one of those. The Matrix itself has many layers to it, and I think you got to
Spoiler alert, that's my only negative critique of the Matrix.
You got to peel back certain layers to really understand why they decided to do that choice. And it does make sense when it's broken down in that way. But yeah, I get it.
And yeah, and you're right. The way she does it, because she kind of disappears into the clouds, which I will say,
because she said
having a temple.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would say just the setting of having a temple in the mountains above the clouds looks really cool.
I love that. I love that imagery. It's what I'm so drawn to, just Asian.
Feel like it would be hard to breathe
architecture,
up there,
just because it's absolutely breathtaking. And yeah, this definitely it shows in the scene here. Oh, it looks like a painting at some point.
But yeah, I think you're right in terms of because she flies through the cloud, and the camera even shows her kind of in the clouds. It is a transcendence, a moment where allegory, a moment where she finally finds peace with herself, with the decisions that she's made.
It's like
I don't know if I was
Grease,
the biggest fan.
Where all of a sudden the goddamn car starts flying into the sky.
Well, that's because the rumor of the fan theory of that movie is she drowned on the beach and the whole movie is a dream.
Yeah, and they're going into heaven, something like that. That's why they're
that's one of the big fan theories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but yeah, I know it's a trope, and it would be really easy to do the whole live happily ever after. But I was kind of like, maybe just go that route instead. It's a little easier to understand and follow.
It's heavy,
and that could just be my ignorant North American point of view, but
it's definitely one of those endings that you probably would have to write a study for in film school. It's one of those things. It's very
philosophical.
Yeah, and it's got to be very analytical when it comes to figuring out exactly what this ending means, and it's ambiguous, so it's going to have many meanings. But you can definitely analyze you can figure it out, through different themes and philosophical ideologies. You can come up with your own kind of ending there and how it continues from that. Because I don't know, man. It looked like she just jumped to her death, to be honest. I have no idea. Because the mountain itself
that's what I thought.
Was like you get a wish if you jump off. So it's like, is she
if
jumping off to wish? Does she believe like
yeah, that's what he says. He says that there's a legend of somebody who jumped on. You have to be like either at, I forget if he said you have to be at peace or you have to be like a certain, you have to have like accomplished a certain thing or whatever in your life, and if you jump off, the gods or whoever will grant you a wish. So I was like, and then she says that to him right before she does it. So I was like, I was waiting for her to jump, like climb up on the ledge and just jump, but instead she just takes off into flight.
she falls with style? That's what it kind of looked
Yeah, it's
like.
not
She descends
a little
down
bit.
like she drops like a goddamn yeah. But yeah, she no, and then she's she levels herself and starts flying. It looked yeah, it looked cool
Um,
though. It looked cool.
I mean, that's gonna. I mean, for me at least, that brings us to the end of the movie. I really don't have um much else to talk about except the only thing I didn't bring up was when they're back in the village where she lives or whatever. There's the, I guess, cop and his daughter and some guard named Bo who I wrote, this Bo dude might as well be one of the Three Stooges.
Now is he the is he the one that gets like froze by Jay Dragon?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, okay. He's I'm pretty sure because I've seen quite a few Asian films. I'm pretty sure he's been a character in some of those movies. I recognize them, but not enough to where I know his name
Mm.
or anything.
Also, I cannot advocate for the hairstyles in this movie.
Oh yeah, that's
Like
of the
the
time.
men's,
It's the
holy
equivalent.
shit.
It's the equivalent of when Europeans was wearing those wigs, those powdered ass wigs. Everyone was rocking it because it was popular. I think it was just the same thing with it was just
It
a popular hairstyle for the time, so everybody had to wear it.
it reminded me of the
Gosh.
guy from The Mask, just to an extreme.
Oh yeah,
The bald guy who had that single ponytail.
yeah. Just the
These guys
he
just have a
never
cat.
cut it.
These guys just have a cap on top of the ponytail
Mhm.
or around the ponytail.
Yeah, and again, it's a thing you see in these kind of kung fu movies of like the 70s and 80s. If it's a time period around that, I don't know specifically what century, but whatever century that is, they do they've made a lot of movies in that era. And a lot of the most of the time when you see a character, they have that type of hairstyle.
So it says the movie is supposed to take place in the 18th century during the
Ming,
Qing Dynasty, Qing,
Okay,
Qing King, yeah.
Quang. Interesting.
But yeah, I mean that's really I think the only thing that um I didn't get to from my notes was the that bow guy and the hair. Is there anything we missed that you had wanted to talk about or bring up?
No, oh, I think I got all my notes here. Yeah, no, I pretty much exhausted everything I was going to say.
Okay. Well, being that you are the one who had us, or you're the one who picked this movie, I'm going to let you give your final thoughts and recommendations.
Yeah, no, this is I'm glad I chose this, even though you weren't. It's
Well, I'm
um
glad you're glad.
because I watching it, years later as an adult and with more of an analytical mind, a critic mind. Uh, I kind of see what they were going for with the stylistic choice. I know they're paying homage, but I understood some of the deeper layers there, even though there's a lot of layers here, and it's you'd have to you could spend some time trying to get through them all and deciphering it. Um, but for what it was on the surface, I think it was an amazing martial arts action movie mixed with some emotional storytelling. I think the storytelling is slightly under the choreography, but um, that's a lot better said than the average martial art kung fu movie. To tell that this was put into the hands of a great visual storyteller and a great just overall director with Ang Lee. I liked a lot of his choices with his camera work because the cinematography is just beautiful. There are many times where you could pause it and it looks like a beautiful just tapestry, a very beautiful painting, and I appreciate that. Um, the the wardrobe looked great. It was the world looked lived in. It didn't look too much like a movie set. Uh, so it definitely has more of an immersive feel to it whenever they do something like that. Uh, I love when they shoot on location. The flashback was pretty much my favorite part, cinematography wise. It just looked drop dead gorgeous and had a very cinematic, epic look to it. Um, the acting overall, I thought was really good. I mean, they weren't really going for too realistic when it comes to the delivery, but almost a theater tone. And I recognize that, so I understand. And I think they all pull it off. They all they all had believable emotion when it was needed, and especially with the three leads, you get or you believe that they all had this internal struggle, and they were just trying to deal with that throughout the film. Um, I would say the weaknesses overall would definitely be the pacing. It feels like it was deliberately halted. Main plot of the movie to tell this story where they could have weaved it in a lot better, in my opinion. But overall, I think this is just a very well made action movie with very emotional storytelling. And I would recommend it to anybody who likes kung fu movies, likes martial arts movies, and are used to that, used to those tropes and the way they present their martial art movies. Definitely would recommend that. And if you are a fan of film and you like to break things down and find deeper meanings, I could recommend that to you as well. But the average viewer, the casual fan of movies, can't really recommend it to you. Um, but if you were to give it a shot, I don't think you'd find too much wrong with it, but I can't recommend it to you. Personally, I would give this a 8.5 out of 10.
I'm at the complete other end of the spectrum. No offense. I know I'm not trying to harp on the movie that you picked. I just, like I said, I don't identify with these movies very well because I really have no history with them. It's not that I don't enjoy like the fights, the choreography, things like that. I do, and I did for the most part in this movie. Where I found it was lacking was because the movie is presented, at least the version I saw, in a different language. It's hard to connect sometimes with those emotional moments. That being said, the one that I did connect with was, like we had said, the one at the end, or kind of declaring their love for one another finally after all these years. Um, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. The pacing was a little off for me. It didn't kind of hit the beats that it should. Um, I mean, that being said, there has to be redeeming qualities in terms of the general critics out there because this movie was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. It won four, um, including cinematography, set design, things like that, which I agree with those. The cinematography was really good. The sets were fantastic. Again, the on location shooting was really good. The personal stunt work was really good and the lack of CGI. Again, it's those things like light hitting an object. It's things that you just can't replicate and it can um I mean, the acting it was good for what it was, but again, it's hard to identify a lot of that in a different language. I can't give this a recommend except for maybe I'd say I know there are people out there who like to watch all the nominees every year for the Academy Awards. If you haven't done it for this movie, watch it for that. I don't know enough about typical martial arts movies to say like you had said to recommend for fans of that, but yeah, there are interesting fight scenes and stunt work and things like that. But I can't give this an overall recommendation. And unfortunately, my rating, just for my sheer enjoyment of the film, I'm at like a 4.5. Unfortunately, I kind of hate giving that rating, but I can't. You know
No,
what I mean?
I
I
gotta be
can't
honest.
really give it better than what I found. So that's going to be my score at 4.5 for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Probably wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be, but so
No, I
for
mean, yeah,
next week, oh, go
I
ahead.
understand. I
You thought I
understand.
was going to do like a one?
I didn't know your history with these kind of movies. If I would have gotten that backstory, I would have got more of an accurate thought of how you felt about the movie.
Yeah. Oh, I knew you were going to love it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah. So next week is going to be our fourth and final movie in the mini series of the female-driven, female-led movies. I've been really kind of bouncing around with a few different ones this week and what I wanted to do, and it just kind of dawned on me yesterday.
Oh,
My first movie we did was Bridesmaids, and it was an ensemble of women, and this one is also going to be kind of the same way in an ensemble. It also honors something from the past that actually took place, and it involves
oh,
something that is very near and dear to my heart. And we are going to watch the movie where we learned very vehemently that there is no crying in baseball. We're watching A League of Their Own.
okay.
Now, this movie, I mean, again, female led. It's a very large female cast, and it tells the story of the real life All American Girls Professional Baseball League that was founded during World War II. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie.
I've seen bits and pieces. I don't think I've seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, somebody who I've grown up my entire life, I fell in love with baseball when I was a little kid. And this, among many other baseball movies, have been an absolute staple in my life for as long as I can remember. And yeah, I kind of thought that the way the movie is portrayed in terms of the empowerment of women in a time when they basically had no rights or anything like that, and also that the fact that it mirrors a league that took place in real life, I thought it was pretty fitting for this series that we're doing on female-led movies.
Okay. Yeah, I know
So
men.
that is,
I know
go ahead.
men enjoy it. I know men enjoy it, but I've never heard a female perspective on the movie. So I'm
Um,
curious
I,
to see
I,
how
I've heard,
relatable it is for a woman.
I've heard a few other podcasts talk about it with women on it, and they did enjoy it. What I will say, and I'll probably talk about this more next week. They came out a couple of years ago with a show on Amazon Prime, a 10-episode show based on kind of based loosely on the movie and the story of the All American Girls Professional Baseball League, and it was not good. Like, I watched it because I'm such a big fan of the movie, and I was like, oh, this is great. They're going to take the story of the movie and put it in a show, and it's going to be longer and even better. And it really wasn't. Like,
And
you'll see in this movie,
there's a reason why.
there's
From what I've seen and what I know what people love about that movie, it's the cast. And if
that's a big part of it.
that's what exactly. And that's like
Also,
if the
I
movie
will
doesn't
say,
have equal casting, you're dead in the water.
also somebody who loves baseball so dearly, when you watch this movie, just watch how well the actual baseball action is on the field. The show was awful. Like, it was to the point where the woman who would pitch couldn't throw, so it would like
cut.
it would show her go to release the ball, and then it would quick cut and show the ball traveling through the air. Like, it was so disjointed. It did not work. And I was really let down when that came out. But
Yeah, it takes you out of what you're watching when there's that many
yeah,
when it's clearly somebody with no experience portraying a character with experience and they have to edit around it. It yeah, it's you yeah, it's
yeah.
disjointing, like you just said.
And I'm going to give you something to look forward to. For someone you haven't
Cool.
seen the whole movie, just keep a good lookout for John Lovitz when you watch the movie.
John Lovitz. Like
He's one of
being a
my
creep,
favorite parts.
being a fucking creep like he does
Um,
in fucking every other movie he's in.
not necessarily a creep, just but
He's what
you'll understand when you
he's
see
spying?
him.
Is he spying on somebody like he did in fucking Little
Nope,
Nicky?
little Nicky. Nope, no spying.
Ooh, horny,
But
creepy ass.
but that's going to bring us to an end. This episode on Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and as you heard, next week we'll be doing A League of Their Own. And so we just want to thank everybody for listening. And we would like to ask you to give us a rate and review. 5 stars would really help us. Both on Spotify. Also, go over to YouTube and give us a follow on there. And we want to try and increase our viewership or listenership, I guess you would call it. So as always, give us a follow on our socials, which will be posted in the show notes. And until next time, thanks for listening and thanks for subscribing. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.